Project update. Gonna go over just some of my projects I've been working on, where they're at, and a questions. That's how I'm gonna start off with. Somebody had a question about my fatshark SD mod that I put this Eachine receiver in. If you hadn't seen this originally, if you didn't know, the fatshark SDs didn't have a receiver inside. They had a cord that you plugged into an external receiver. So my first video, I modded in a cheap, like $15 5.8 receiver, and then in my last video, I put in this Eachine, and it's a pretty simple mod. And the question the person had was, how do you control this? How do you change channels? And I think they're coming from the viewpoint of the goggles that have these built in, and so like this little knob would control everything. But basically what's happening, all this is doing is sending video to the goggles, and there's a little rocker here, and that's how you can go through the system and make changes and stuff. So if you watch any review of these Eachine units, there's really no point in me showing you the goggle setup, because you do everything here. Any Eachine review, this works exactly the same. It's just that the output is going to these goggles. So there's that. Also, a couple years back, I picked up one of these zip kit tugboats. At the time I put it together, I just kind of painted it white and gray. So since we were on lockdown, I thought I would take it out. I repainted it white, put these bumpers on, cut out some tile or tires out of some like craft foam. I put some like door kind of hatch looking things. That's a 2-ounce craft paint can. I just made up something. Got decals on there from the Cricket. This originally was going to be like a tow hook under a plane. So it was not supposed to be scale, just more scale-ish, you know. And then since I now had the tug with the bumpers, I needed something to push around. So this here is 2 layers of that foam, and then just kind of wrapped it in some balsa and fiberglass. Painted it with some house paint on the bottom, a couple layers. This is let's see, this is this PVC pipe that I cut down, and then it's just got gray primer. So I put a ton of weight in there. This thing is really heavy, because when you're pushing it around, I wanted it to feel like it weighed a lot. It wasn't just some piece of plastic floating in the water. So that was a fun little project. Still got to get it back in the water. Let me see if I can pop this open one-handed. All right. There we go. Pretty simple setup. Put a bunch of lead in there so it sits down in the water. It's just a servo brushed motor, car ESC. Yep, and it runs on two 2S packs that I made out of old laptop batteries right here. I just put them in parallel, so that thing will run for like 3 days straight on that. So the 4-meter plank, finally got the other wing out, and it looks like I got them pretty close as far as the coloring and stuff. This one actually came out better. You can see there's a bunch of overspray there, and there's no overspray here. Same thing on the bottom. If you look at the bottom, see if I can do this without destroying my shop. The bottom is like almost perfectly white, whereas the other one has overspray from the black. And I set them up exactly the same. So I don't know if it's just the temperature difference made the paint, I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm gonna start working on that. It'll be really nice having this one to compare, to get, you know, to look at it, because before in that one I was just like hoping I had everything right. So pretty exciting. Really looking forward to getting this 13 plus foot wing together out in front of my house and get like a widescreen shot holding that. It's going to be pretty cool. And lastly is all this stuff on the workbench. A fellow hobbyist, I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's up, he's going to decide when he wants to release info on it, but fellow hobbyist is putting together a kit for a CNC 4-axis hot wire cutter. Basically a much more legit version than my MDF one over there. And he asked me if I would help him beta test and work through issues and stuff. So this is really exciting, really cool. It's very close in dimensions of what it can cut to what I already have, but it's so much lighter. It's super rigid. I mean, I put so much time into research and trying to figure out how to get that working, and it runs on Linux CNC on a little computer in there, and I hate Linux. Whereas this system runs on like $66 is the electronics. It's like an Arduino, some limit switches, these little NEMA 17s, like all that was like $66. And it runs on like just Windows 10, any Windows computer. So I mean, if I had had access to something like this when I got started, this would have saved me so much time and grief and probably maybe money. So really excited, and I'll be sharing more progress on that as I get it together. So that is it for my shop update. Hope everybody is doing well, and I will talk to you guys later.